The race to dump your college football coach so you can have a head start on courting your future ex has begun. The annual college football coaching carousel has started to spin, and I'm here to keep you and your favorite team from getting motion sickness. Let's get into it.
I got a feel-good story for you.
What else do you want the man to do?
We're counting down the best plays. How do you define success?
George Wrighster.
So as of today, here are the jobs that are open. And let me repeat for UCLA fans, as of today. Texas A&M smashed the buyout record by 3.5 times to get rid of Jimbo Fisher. Northwestern opened up right before the season started, and the administration there had no interest in their first external head coaching hire since 1999, as they hired interim head coach and defensive coordinator David Braun as their head coach. Michigan State has been open since late September, making every fan that wants to retain their coach absolutely nervous because the Spartans have plenty of money to spend. Mississippi State, they never intended to hire Zach Arnett to be their head coach anyway. They made the best decision they could when Mike Leach passed away, but Arnett using a team that was built for the air raid to run a more pro-style offense was an absolute disaster, and the Bulldogs have decided to move on. Now, Boise State, they moved on from the Andy Avalos experiment after his third consecutive 4-loss season, which is something the Broncos hadn't even experienced since their first 3 years in existence. Now, former Boise State coach Brian Harsin was on those mid-90s teams, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in the saddle after taking last year off to hand count his Auburn buyout money. And then you got San Diego State, which is open after Brady Hoke announced that he would be retiring. And Hoke's second turn at the helm of the Aztecs looked a lot like his time at Michigan, mastering how to use a talent that was already in the building, but failing to develop his own recruits. But our focus today is on the school that puts the cult in agriculture and throws money around like they're starting a Saudi golf tour, none other than Texas A&M. And I'm not out here trying to tell people how to spend their money. If you got it, go ahead and flaunt it. And I did make a video on how schools have gone absolutely insane structuring buyout terms that incentivize their coaches to fail. And that's the linked video in the description below. But I never said that coaches should be making less on an annual basis. It's the structure. Good coaches pay for themselves. But how is Texas A&M going to guarantee that they get a good coach? They tried to innovate an up-and-comer in Kevin Sumlin. They tried an established champion in Jimbo Fisher, who had already seemingly started to mail it in at Florida State, and the results were the same. And they attempted to do what they always do and throw money at the problem. We're super rich, just take anything from anybody. They clearly have misinterpreted my favorite saying. Everything is for sale, but everything ain't on sale, because the price isn't always money. Sometimes it's happiness, family stability, promises kept, geographic desirability, and so forth. But I'm a businessman, and I know a lot of successful businessmen and women. And the one thing we all know is that the ability to toss cash at a problem often eliminates the creativity it took to grow your business in the first place. That way you had that type of cash to burn. Because businesses are maintained on cash flow, but they're built on creativity. And right now, Texas A&M is using an unlimited cash fountain to maintain mediocrity. How does a school pretend that they don't have every resource that they could ever want, and then ask themselves the question, how do we solve this problem without money? The Aggies should be asking, how can they find their own Dan Lanning, not how they can buy my Dan Lanning. Get your own damn coach. But seriously, some of these millennial coaches have been watching and learning as their predecessor Boomer and Gen X guys jump from paycheck to paycheck. And they already have life-changing generational wealth, and they realize that they don't need to leave behind happiness to chase a check. That check that comes with pressure and unrealistic expectations. Just ask Lincoln Riley over at USC. So who's going to be happy in College Station is the question. Who's going to want to work with the 12th man like they're not financially set for 20 lifetimes, instead of walking around with the knowledge that they're good whether they win or lose? Texas A&M needs to find somebody young and hungry that will be fine to come in for $40 million over 6 years, which would be a top 25 salary, with the promise of earning triple on their next contract once they prove themselves. And since you have the money lying around, you can make all their assistants some of the highest paid in the country and get the best guys. Just don't spoil the head man. Let that sink in.